Yawn of the dead.
I can't tell if we're live because we're
That's the
missing.
title of your biography.
Yeah.
Although it's probably
I
copyrighted.
prefer the term a memoir.
It's probably already copyrighted by a Swedish guy. I can't tell if we're live. How can we tell? Oh, great. That's how we know. It's like the nerves. They can sense it. And we're live. How was that? Could you hear that one, Lewis?
Here without the headphones.
That's what I'm talking about. We got Red Zwan. We got Level Remix. We got Ulysses. We got I Cave Dave. We got the Faux Vol MacBooks is here. Yeah, we took a little bit of extra time just to perfect things, you know. We're perfectionists over here at the CultCast.
We take a bit of extra time just to get to the bare level that we are typically at.
Oh, that's right. Dude, I don't know what updating this audio driver has done to my computer, but I can't play the live broadcast anymore because audio render error. Please restart your computer. So I can see the chat, but I can't actually see the stream. I have no idea. Oh my gosh, what a disaster. Can you guys see the live stream? Is it working?
Don't know.
Well, we have people commenting, so it must be. Let us know, chat. Okay, the boom woke up the whole house. That's what I like to hear, and that's what I'm here for. So that must mean that we're live. Okay, fantastic. Well, my friends, I think we're ready to roll. Oh, no, we're not. I got to set up the browser. You guys going to... I know y'all like to see the sausage. Let's see here.
What
Let me
the
go ahead
what?
and... Don't pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about, Liz. Let's see here. That fix it? Nope. That's what I'm seeing. There you go. If you're wondering what I'm seeing behind the scenes, that's it. Freaking
That's awesome.
yeah.
Right there on YouTube, huh? Great.
No, I didn't do it either. What a disaster. Where the heck? Oh, see, it doesn't like when I do that. No.
Sure.
Any Apple Card news? Oh, yeah. Tons of Apple Card news. Let me see if this fixes it. OBS doesn't like when I move tabs, so let's try this again. Let's see if this fixes it.
Got 30 minutes now.
It's totally foobarred.
So excited about the earnings call. I just can't wait.
You know what? I am actually excited because I'm hoping that it makes my my stock skyrocket.
How are we going to say this is the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation? We can't even hit 30 minutes.
Oh, you guys can. You guys
That's
can
fair.
go the distance.
All right, hold on a second. Let's
go to
try
speed.
this. Sorry, my OBS is completely freaking out now. It will not let me switch to the right. There we go.
OBS,
Good
have you seen a
grief.
doctor about that?
I've seen several specialists. None can help me. They told me to apply the cream twice daily. It's not helping, Lewis.
Did you get that stuff that Jack Black uses?
It's too powerful for me. All right, I think we're ready to roll. I could do another boom if you want, but I don't know if people's eardrums can handle it. So we'll just go ahead and cue up Mrs.
How
D.
about a tweet?
Oh, you want some tweet action? All right, if you insist.
If it's not too much.
Oh, you do want the extra boom. There you go. All right, let me cue up Mrs. D. Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, I also like the boom. The boom boom with El Caney. Of course. There's no shortage of innuendo in Mrs. D's world. Mrs. D, no one wants to hear about that. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and get the music queued up. Let's not drive away any more of our listeners. And we'll get this thing rolling. In 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Airfront Elijah. Join me today. His delicious factor meals give him the energy he needs for the parkour tactics often required when hunting down escaped CultMac riders in the streets and stairwells of San Francisco's downtown metroplex. Try saying that. You can't. He's the manager and editor of CultMac. Oh, Lewis Wallace is here.
Filled with energy.
Always. Also with us, Reports of alien sightings flooded 911 in his rural Ohio community when he decided to go to town in his Vision Pro and AirPods Max. And police had to respond when he was almost shot by Farmer McGee. He's right. Griffin Jones is here. Gotta watch out for that Farmer McGee.
I have some good news and I have some bad news.
Oh, man. All right.
The good news is that we believe we've fixed the audio buzzing problem that was on the last 2 weeks of the show. It was, I don't know, some issues of like wires that were getting crossed on Lewis's end, and you should never cross the streams.
Never.
The bad news is that the Cult of Mac Apple Financial Earnings Call live streamathon had to be canceled. The archers that I hired came down with cholera, and it just wouldn't be an Apple Financial Earnings Call live streamathon without live archery. They're going to do like the whole like Apple shooting off the head thing, and because Apple, but it didn't work out. Stay tuned in another 3 months.
Well, I am glad to hear that we think that we dialed out that buzzing issue. So thank you to the hundreds of people who contacted us, letting us know that was an issue. It happened on 2 episodes too. So we were like, we got to figure this out. And I've had something similar like this happen before. And I think, wasn't it just that you had like some kind of power source or something laying on a wire somewhere, Lewis, or something along those lines?
Yeah, I think that I moved this, this USB-C hub slightly closer to the Vocaster.
Okay. And the electromagnetic disruption was just causing a buzzing noise. It's crazy how that kind of thing can happen. It's happened to me before.
What's weird is I couldn't hear it at all in my headphones.
Weird. So I just made it into the recording.
I could also only barely hear it in Logic after it had been pointed out to me.
Yeah.
It seemed to be much louder after we uploaded it to Buzzsprout, which distributes our podcasts and does some processing on the audio. So whatever processing
does
they
it
do
really?
Must have boosted it a little
Static
bit.
enhancer.
Like just that frequency.
You can pay them to turn it
hear
off.
Myself.
So you think that our
right.
it's only an extra
service now with
$5 a
no
month.
static enhancer.
So you think that our levels are being touched in some way by our podcast host?
They do some manner of audio processing, which is why it takes like a few minutes between me pushing the button and the podcast actually appearing. It does some processing to the audio a little bit.
Okay, we got to look
Like just
into
like
this.
compression or something.
Well, it shouldn't be doing anything. By the way, as long as we're off in the weeds, do you guys notice anything unusual about my face? Do you see anything?
I mean, you're only 2 inches tall on my screen right now, so I can't see a whole lot of detail.
How about you, Lewis?
More of it?
Kind of like around here. Can you see anything?
You
Do my
can
eyes
figure-
look extraordinarily sparkly to you? Do you see anything?
Do you have more like lights behind your desk reflecting in your eyes?
No. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's like this. So I got a newer camera, and I feel like it's adding like ice sparkle. Like, look at all the little like highlights in my eyes, and I was trying to figure out if it was coming from some kind of light source in my room, but I don't think it is. It's almost like a beautification filter, and I don't know how to turn it off. But my eyes have like this unusually, and I would say actually quite charming sparkle to them.
Well, you're asking the wrong guy in the first place. 'cause
Oh,
I
no, I
can't
know
see
that's
nothing.
not true. Yeah. I know you noticed the ice sparkle. Don't pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about. Look. All right. This show's
I thought
going.
it was going to be like, for the entire time that you've been doing the podcast, you had a giant mustache and you shaved it off, and I didn't notice or something like that.
I wouldn't mind having like the Vincent Price mustache, like that really super thin one, that you shave on the top and on the bottom, and you just leave that little line right there.
John Waters style.
I feel like that'd be pretty cool. All right, maybe it's just on my screen. I definitely see it in OBS, and it must, I think, be going out to the broadcast, but I think it's charming. I just thought you all might wonder about it. Hey, let's see here. We got all sorts of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about Tim Cook's master plan to help you avoid paying those insane tariffs that are hitting just about everything that gets imported. In fact, I think that they are hitting everything that gets imported. In fact, I'm seeing prices go up on stuff across the board, and I think your iPhone is going to be no different. But I think TC may have worked out a plan. We have some updates on iPhone 17. Oh my gosh, dude. This is one of the strangest stories of this year. Apple soft launches an all-in-one site to follow celebrities. All right, we'll talk about that. We got some more talk on tariff turmoil, but how it may not be affecting Apple. Apple has been blasted by a judge for defying an order on App Store payments. We'll fill you in on that. We're going to wrap up with more of your voicemails. We've been getting so many of these, we can't even actually get through them all now. But we are going to play as many as we have time to play, and I just really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to send these in. I hope you all are enjoying this. I mean, I love it because, doing a podcast is operating within a vacuum. Like, we don't really ever get to interact with anyone except unless you join us on the live stream, which some of you do regularly, but we don't start consistently enough to actually have it grow.
Or you join the Cult Club at support.thecultcast.com.
You could also do that, and that is a way to get us to perhaps engage with you and put your content on the show, which I would love to do more of. Carlos L. from the chat, I love the voicemails. Dude, I do too. Ulysses, I see the twinkle. Okay, so it is there. It is there. It's twinkling like crazy. I can't believe that you guys don't see it.
Does it have like a little fill light or something?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with light. I think there's like some kind of hidden camera setting that adds a twinkle to my eyes. I'm serious. I think that's what it is. I can't believe you don't see the twinkle. I cannot.
The Santa Claus of fire.
I cannot stop looking at it. It's so twinkly.
I see it a little bit. I mean, I actually switch for the live stream. I specifically switched my computer to dark mode just to eliminate the glare and reflections in my glasses. But I don't know, is your computer in light mode, Airphone?
No, it's not really.
Do you have, any white
it's
on your
not
screen?
really. And this has nothing to do with any actual light source, because look how specular these are. Like, they're so sharp, and they kind of flicker a little bit. And when I open my eyes, oh my gosh, I can't stop looking at it. Well, Betty says I look like a Disney prince, so maybe it's a good thing. I take that as a compliment. Or maybe she meant Jafar. Hopefully not. All right, let's see here. Before we dive in, I do want to say thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Do I have my notes here in front of me? And encourage you all to head on over to squarespace.com/cultcast if you haven't done so already. I pay for Squarespace every single month because it's just a really terrific tool, and I use it for a multitude of reasons. Not least of which is to support cultcloth.co, which, by the way, thank you. The orders are just pouring in, Lewis, pouring in. I don't know what did it, but all of a sudden people are interested in the coat cloth again. I'm not sure what happened, and thankfully,
scared of the tariffs, man.
That might be it, man. And we might have to raise prices 845% because of the tariffs. Now the tariffs are only going up probably 10% for us. But there's the effort involved and calculating the tariffs, so we have to respond accordingly. Start a completely personalized website with Squarespace's guided system, Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layouts and styling options to build your online presence from the ground up, like I did. Tailored to your brand or business and optimized for every device. I mean, it just looks beautiful on any device that visits. Easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated, optimized SEO tools to show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. And, of course, the thing that I always talk about because it's so critical, flexible payments. Make checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools. Accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries offer customers the option to buy now and pay later. You can sell content of all kinds, memberships, courses, sell files to your customers like PDFs, music, or ebooks. And if you're ready to get started, or you just want to check it out, head to squarespace.com/cultcast, sign up for the trial. It costs you nothing. You don't have to give them your credit card or information or anything. And just see how you like it. Build a website. You'll see how easy it is. And when you're ready to make your first purchase, use code CultCast at checkout. You'll get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I do a year of service, which gives me an extra discount, a substantial discount. Just a really great product, and one that I rely on. If you have a reason to have a website, and I mean, there's so many reasons to have a website, especially if you have business. Squarespace.com/cultcast. Squarespace has been with us for 10 years now, 11 years now. They call us one of their legacy partners. We've been around so long. We've become a legacy partner. I don't know what that means, but I do like the sound of it,
I think that's what they call Lewis Wallace when he goes to the local Five and Dime.
Yeah, that's right. Also at the Denny's, I believe. He gets the
Dime.
legacy discount. All right, let's go ahead and dive in before we make Lewis any angrier. Lewis, would you care to talk about Tim Cook's master plan to help us all avoid paying the extra burden of the tariffs? Which, by the way, can I just add quickly, just quickly, there's a camera that I've been watching, and they have had these discounts available all the time, as an incentive to buy it. Disappeared this week. And they never do this. Like, once the discount is in place, it never goes away. And guess how much the price went up? 10%. 10%. So it's going to be felt all over, especially if your products are made in China, like so many of Apple's are. There's no way they can't pass that on. But TC's got a plan.
Yes, indeed. Apple plans to make all U.S. iPhones in India eventually. Ongoing tariff war between the United States and China sped up Apple's supply chain migration to India, according to a Financial Times report. It says Apple wants to move assembly of all iPhones sold in the United States to India by the end of next year. Pretty amazing. To achieve this, Apple need to double its iPhone assembly in the country in about a year. Typically sells more than 60 million iPhones in the United States every year. Apple's made steady progress in assembling iPhones in India. Last year, it started making the iPhone 16 Pro in the country within days of its official launch. Previously, it took a few months for them to ramp up to that. While imports from India also face tariffs, they are considerably lower at 25% as opposed to like whatever 145, 190,
is it 25?
600 million, whatever it is.
Okay.
Huh?
I thought it was 10%, not 25.
China?
No, with India.
Who knows? I mean, I haven't checked in the last 10 minutes. This is what it was.
The
when we wrote
tariffs
this
just
post
got
up.
5% higher. Like, who knows?
We need like a tariff ticker on our homepage or something. I mean, as you're saying, or as I was saying, maybe it's changed because, U.S. and Indian governments are negotiating a trade deal to reduce tariffs. This seems to be what's happening. Like, this is all a bunch of bluster to get people talking and try to cut individual deals. Wayne Ma at The Information had some interesting background on this whole thing, though. And this is from his story. Increasingly, though, just getting equipment to India is a hassle. In many cases, Chinese authorities are delaying or blocking shipments of iPhone equipment to India without explanation,
wow.
according to multiple people involved in iPhone.
That's wild.
Hard to believe the Chinese overlords would do that kind of thing, isn't it? Let's see. This is also from The Information. Foxconn has seen approval times from Chinese authorities for exporting iPhone-making equipment from its Chinese factories to those in India rise from 2 weeks to as long as 4 months.
Wow, the slow roll.
And there was an anecdote in that post about how they did this crazy thing, like they set up a front company in another South Asian country and shipped it there, and then shipped it from China to there, and then from there to India.
Wow.
So China's freaking out because Apple's been moving their production out of China, trying to diversify for a while.
Ever since COVID happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that
And
showed
as
exactly
we
how
pointed out
screwed
a
up
couple
it is.
weeks ago, like, it's not just about where you manufacture them. Like, everything is in China. The expertise, the equipment, everything involved in the production is in China. And so, like, you can't just spin up a factory in the US or in India. They already have a factory in India. They're just trying to scale it a little more, and they're already running into these troubles too. It's a geopolitical mess.
Well, thankfully, Foxconn is the company used for manufacturing, and they have opened up plants all over the place, also in the U.S. So if they need to expedite the transfer of expertise or even bringing those people to other countries to help get these manufacturing lines stood up, at least they've made it that far. Because if they hadn't done that, we would truly be screwed. These tariffs in place, I think, create an incentive to do business outside of China. But as you pointed out, that's not a quick fix. You can't just stand up an industry in another country without the expertise.
And especially when things are changing week by week, like, what company is going to feel confident in investing all this money for something that might be entirely undone a month from now?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You can't. This is a long-term play that's getting like immediate short-term, half solutions. Like, that's not a situation that instills confidence in leadership.
Yeah, and it's incredibly expensive as well to move manufacturing. Sorry, Lewis, what?
One of the other things that The Information said was the equipment Chinese authorities are scrutinizing for export include high precision lasers that weld metal parts to the frames of iPhones, air leak test stations that measure how waterproof the devices are, and machines that can identify, grab, and move parts from one location to another, known as pick and place machines. I mean, they've got all these specialized things that they've built, and I saw something like it wasn't exactly clear to me, like who buys the machines, who owns the machines? Is it Apple? Is it Foxconn?
Probably Foxconn.
I guess it's Foxconn, but yeah, the whole thing is just insane. Like if you think about all the ways that they all the methods that they use to produce these things. And then one of the headlines I saw this week, Tim Cook was talking to somebody. He's like, basically, we're waiting for the robotic arms that will put phones together, because we don't have, in the United States, we don't have
enough robotic arms.
Well, we don't have the human arms attached to the human brains with the actual skills required to do these things.
Wow. We could go on this.
It's wild.
Once the exodus has started, I don't know that it will stop. I don't know that it matters that this could be reversed in the future, because at this point, once the exodus has started, they're going to just continue on and move this stuff out. Like, they can't move on and then come back. I just don't think that's going to happen. They have to just decide, okay, we're moving to other countries, and we're going to have to invest in those countries to prop up manufacturing and disperse manufacturing amongst different countries and not have it all be centralized in one place. So I don't even know if these things would be reversed. But I also think that this topic it has the potential to be horrendously boring. So we should probably just move on. It is kind of interesting, but also there's like a propensity for it to be incredibly boring.
We have robotic arms.
If we were just talking about robotic arms, and if you had like lifted up your arm and we were like, whoa, Lewis has got a robotic arm. Like we didn't know. Like that would be more interesting, But when it's just about tariffs, I'm like, nah, we're definitely losing it. Okay, let's talk about iPhone 17 for just a moment here, Lewis. As long as you're talking, you might as well keep talking, because we do have an update on iPhone 17.
Well, as you may know, Samsung shipped its Galaxy S24 Ultra with new glass made by Corning.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know.
Glass armor with an anti-reflective coating on top. Did you know it?
No.
Testing. Supposedly this glass, cuts down reflections by as much as 75%, which would be awesome. And rumors indicate Apple would also equip the iPhone 17 Pro's display with a similar coating. However, according to a Mac Rumors report citing a reliable source, Apple might have changed its mind. It seems company ran into problems scaling the display coating process. And, as we were just talking, given the complexities and time required for the coding process and everything else involved in Apple reportedly scrapped its plan. This could explain why Android manufacturers other than Samsung have not adopted the anti-reflective coating. So if not the iPhone 17 Pro, Apple may use coating on future iPhones once the coding process improves, blah, 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 blah. Having a less glary screen would be awfully nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes an absolutely massive difference on the nano texture MacBook Pro. I have historically never been a fan of matte displays, but dude, that thing is just so good. Not to say that the iPhone would be that good, because it's completely different technology, but in fact, it's a coating and not a texture. So it's completely different in its premise as well. But dude, it's so good. It's so good, and I was so on the fence before I bought it. I'm talking about the MacBook Pro and the nano texture, pixel peeping back and forth at the Apple Store. But that feature is just so good, so good. There's just no reflection hardly ever, and it just relaxes your eyes, and the color doesn't seem like it's affected hardly at all.
And like the less reflections you have on the display, the less bright the display has to be, because it doesn't have to overcome the brightness of the reflections on the screen.
Yeah,
and
that's an interesting
on an
point.
iPhone especially, that means that you get like much better outdoor battery life the less glare you have on the screen, because the display doesn't need to be as bright, and it doesn't need to use nearly as much power. So this would be fantastic.
That is very interesting. Although the MacBook Pro also gets insanely bright. Like, that thing needs to crank, it cranks. Okay, there you go. We'll see what happens. Time will tell. It could have been the tariffs that scuttled the whole thing. We should just blame most things on tariffs. In fact, I think most people will from this point forward. It's like, I've noticed that you've been late a lot to this meeting. Tariffs,
Yeah, these tariffs are killing
Tariffs
me.
are getting in the way, Can't avoid them. Everywhere I go, tariffs. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're talking about this story. But more than that, I can't believe that this is a story. Out of everything that's happening in your world, in our world today, and all the things that Apple could be putting time and effort into, this is the one that they decided to go with. But I'm not going to give any more information. I'll just leave it to you, Griffin. Fill us in.
Apple soft launches an all-in-one site to follow celebrities. With zero fanfare, Apple launched a new website on Tuesday called Snapshot. The new site, accessible at snapshot.apple.com, presents itself as a hub for discovering, quote, more about the artists, actors, and athletes you love across Apple. The platform aggregates content from Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Sports coverage, and Apple Podcasts as well in other areas, creating dedicated profile pages with links for selected celebrities. So if there's someone you love so much you want to see like everything they do, you'll have one place you can go to check out everything that they're up to. In theory, the Snapshot page presents itself as a horizontal carousel that scrolls automatically, incredibly slowly.
Ever so
Yeah.
slowly.
I'm looking at it
no
right
way
now.
to
I'm like, is there no
manually
way to
scroll
back
faster.
up?
Yeah, I don't know if it's different on a phone, but like I made this thing like full screen on my computer because it's like the biggest horizontal screen I have, and still it's incredibly slow. There's no way to manually scroll faster. The people aren't sorted alphabetically or by any logical order whatsoever, so you're just watching random names.
There's
go
not very many
by.
people right now either. I can see why they're scrolling this slowly because there's like maybe 10 actual
Yeah.
celebrities that they're
I
featuring
think
here.
it's 36,
It-
right?
It looks like the kind of interface that they would have like as like a, ooh, look at all of these people on our site, and then the thing that you scroll past and then see the actual content, but there is no other content. It's just that. Like, and then when you click on someone's profile and go back, it sends you back to the beginning, so you have to wait all over again. There's no search. So this is clearly something in progress, but it's weird that it was made public this early. I don't know. It's strange.
It really seems like they just like somebody whacked it together and said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did something like this?" And they accidentally pushed it live.
It's like when you could, in Apple Music, you could mark an artist as a favorite, and it did absolutely nothing for like 2 years until they eventually added something for it.
Now, I will say the actual profile pages here are useful. I'm opening up
Yeah,
Coldplay, and it's like, okay, here's their latest release. Here are all their albums.
I saw one
Coldplay
on
on
Billie
Apple
Eilish,
TV,
and I
it
clicked
shows
on
you,
that,
like-
and I saw, oh, there's a Billie Eilish interview or like performance that was on Apple TV, and I clicked on that, and I opened the TV app, and then it said, "This video is not available in your region."
Ah,
So
What?
I could finally know like
you
what's
serious?
happening with Cardi B. I didn't know that she was in the newest Smurfs. Did you, Lewis?
No. Jeez, that shirt she's got on is almost not safe for work.
What about that helmet she's wearing? She looks like the
I don't
third
understand the helmet. Maybe it's because of the shirt.
one of
Yeah,
my
interesting
favorite
outfits.
one of my favorite facts about Lady Gaga is that she and Elton John became friends while working on Sherlock Gnomes,
Oh,
the
See?
animated movie.
I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing. Although it does sound like something that Elton John would be participating in. But Lady Gaga, I don't know. All right, there you go. Okay, so this is. I thought this was going to be more like
mix of people in this too.
Yeah,
That's what I
it
find so
definitely is.
bizarre about it. Lionel Messi, Cardi B,
Coldplay,
Kate Blanchett.
which
yeah,
is not a person but a
Coldplay.
band.
It's just
No, you too. Sad.
yeah. Where's you two? I mean, you would think that if anything was on here, you
Oh,
two.
now it's mixing in new people because I'm just seeing Post Malone and Brad Pitt for the first time. Oh, this is odd.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he's on here.
I saw, of course, Drake, my favorite singer. God, I hate Drake.
Bad Bunny's here. He kind of looks like me, doesn't he?
Wow, you must have gotten a refreshed feed.
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, it's showing me new people. Here's Elton John. We were just talking about him.
How? Wow, what if it like everybody we start talking about, they start popping up there? Now that would be quite
That'd be-
strange.
I mean,
And
I do
then
have
our
an-
names come up.
I do have HomePods in here.
mention-
They might be listening to
Let's
me.
mention. Let's see. Who? It seems like it's mostly people who have been in Apple TV shows.
This is totally
So who-
strange because we've been talking
who
about
else
this
is-
segment for way too long for point number
Steph
one.
Curry.
But also, after all this time, it's finally starting to show me new celebrities. It was kind of cycling through the same people for the first 5 minutes of this conversation. And now all of a sudden it's showing all these new people.
What's the Iron Maiden? Jennifer
Selena Gomez,
Aniston.
your favorite? Oh, BTS, another favorite for Lewis.
Jeez.
All right, let's move on and never talk about this again. Let's talk about, well, another point about tariffs, but not really, maybe indirectly. So we got an Apple earnings call happening today that Lewis has got to go in, 4 minutes for? And
The earnings call's at 2, but
you got to go
we got
early?
stuff we got to do before it.
But
They
despite
release their
tariffs,
results in 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, according to the story, despite tariffs, Wall Street is putting out the positive vibes for Apple's March quarter. I guess about the March quarter results that they're about to announce. Analysts anticipate a 4% increase in revenue, which, is not surprising because the tariffs came in towards the end of the quarter. I think it's going to be next quarter that is going to be the one that will probably be affected. But the earnings call is happening today. Let me take a look at the stock price. I've been trying to avoid it. Let's see. Ooh, okay, we're going up a little bit. We definitely hit a low point in April, but we're climbing now. We're back up to 211. So, we're down 4% today. So, not that great.
And they'll probably, as usual, announce great results, and then the stock price will drop.
Yeah. But the whole
No
market's
parent.
down, so I'm like, I don't know. Every time I have a stock conversation with people, like my mom's like complaining about it, I'm like, just don't look at it. It's going to be a little rocky for a while, but as long as you don't sell, you haven't really lost anything. You're not going to lose your money when you're in Apple or probably any of the other major tech companies like, Microsoft or Amazon or anything. I'm like, they'll come back. But we'll see what's happening with their actual revenue today. That's happening. Well, we may touch on it next week, depending on what actually gets announced. But Lewis is going to have to jet out of here in a sec. In fact, before you do, Lewis, I'm glad that you're still here because there's something I want to talk to you about that I know is very important to you. It gives you the energy for the
saucy?
parkour. Something that's saucy. And that is Factor Meals, which Lewis and I were recently replenished on our Factor Meals. And
Delicious.
yeah, and I they sent me extra meals this time, which I was just so delighted by. I was like, look how many freaking Factor Meals. I love having these in the house, as many of you know. If you're unfamiliar with Factor Meals, they are chef-made, never frozen gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. It's like having restaurant takeout in your fridge. Absolutely love it. They have a variety of meals to choose from. And the never frozen thing is really important because when you freeze meat, it just ruins the texture, man. Like there's nothing like unfrozen meat. It just tastes so much juicier and fresher, and it preserves so much of the taste. And Factor never freezes it for that reason, which makes it taste really good. I've been doing their keto meals, which I was a little apprehensive to do because I don't know that keto is something that delivers tasty results. But, dude, I have been absolutely floored by the deliciousness of the meals that they sent me. And I'm going to pull up my I took some pictures of these just so I can read you some of the recipes that they sent me this week so you know what you're dealing with here. Herb-crusted chicken, grilled pork chop, and smoked cheddar, cauliflower, and grits.
I've had that one. That's good.
That's a great
good
one. Loaded bacon shredded chicken.
Oh, that one's great.
Chili roasted chicken. Stroganoff style beef burger. I feel like these are all tongue twisters. Why am I having such a hard time? White cheddar chicken and broccoli grits. And as I've said before, at least with the Protein Plus and the keto, it's like a huge slab of meat and just absolutely covered with a rich, delicious sauce and then a heaping helping of veggies. I love it, dude. They are so good. Some days I'll eat 2. There was one day I ate 3. And the thing I like about these meals is they're healthy, they're nutritious, and they don't make you feel like you have to take a nap afterwards, right? Like they're great for a workout, they're great for lunch, they're great for dinner, and you'll actually have energy when you're eating a Factor meal, and they truly are delicious. And I always tell people, with the discount they're giving our listeners, you should definitely just try it. Food's expensive these days, and with this discount, it makes this food a great deal. And even if you decide not to continue, it's definitely worth trying, because these are good meals just to have around, and they are quick, and they make it
lunch
easy
or dinner, 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Get started at factormeals.com/cultcast50 off and use code cultcast50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code cultcast50 off at factormeals.com/cultcast50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. And the code and the end of the URL is the word cultcast, the number is 50, and then the letters off. Cultcast50 off. Thanks to Factor for supporting this episode. Go get yourself some delicious, just like restaurant takeout, food for your fridge. That will be available when you just don't feel like cooking, but you still want something tasty and healthy. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about, well, should we mention this judge and the potential repercussions for Apple? It looks like they're all going to jail, Griffin, but maybe not. TC's got good lawyers. Maybe he'll avoid the slammer, but this was a major development in this case for App Store payments.
Well, in a certain way, I think it was Apple's lawyers that sort of got them into this whole tanglement. So way back in 2021, as part of the Apple versus Epic Games legal court case, a court ordered Apple to allow developers to link to external payment processors within their apps. So if you don't know what that means, like, hypothetically, you're signing up for Netflix and you want to subscribe to Netflix in the Netflix app on your iPhone. Before, Apple had these arbitrary rules where either you use their in-app purchase system, or like the app isn't allowed to tell you, oh, go to the website to sign up for Netflix. There are strict rules on what you are even allowed to know as the user of the app. And this is what the judge ruled was unfair. Ideally, this would have allowed developers to collect payments from their customers without incurring any transaction fees from Apple. And it's also worth remembering that Apple largely won the Apple versus Epic case. This was the one and only area where Apple was declared to be in the wrong. I think Apple won like the other 22 out of 23, parts of the case. However, Apple being Apple, its solution was ludicrous. Instead of automatically taxing developers 30% directly, which is what happens in the App Store, if you wanted to have external links in your app, you had to file for an external link entitlement request, and you as a developer would have to keep track of your own customer payments and still pay Apple 27% on all for your own transactions, which is an enormous amount of administration and overhead, and only actually saving you 3% of your earnings. And you also had to warn users with a giant scare screen that Apple wrote themselves that you had to implement in your app. So kind of an obsequious solution here. And just earlier this week, Judge Gonzalez wrote, quote, Apple, despite knowing its obligations thereunder, thwarted the injunction's goals and continued its anti-competitive conduct solely to maintain its revenue stream. Yeah, what else is new? The court ruled that effective immediately, Apple cannot take any commission or fee on purchases made by users outside of the App Store. The ruling also states that Apple cannot place restrictions on the style, formatting, or placement of the external link. That's another part of this. The rules were so tight that you couldn't have like a button that looked like a button. If you were to link to an external site or a website, it had to be a plain link, like just styled as text. You couldn't have a button shape around it. You couldn't have it be a color. It just had to be plain text. And I think it had to link to a static site that never changes. It was a giant, complicated mess. Judge Gonzalez also said that Apple's Vice President of Finance, Alex Roman, quote, outright lied during his testimony in the Epic Games trial, and that Apple adopted the lies and misrepresentations to this court.
Dang, someone's going to the slammer.
he actually might go to jail for this.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It will be a nice jail for sure. I mean, and he'll only be there for like 2 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing is so confusing. I don't want to go on too long about this because I'm not sure how much people actually care, but it sounds like this court is essentially saying that if you don't use Apple's payment system, you can use your own. You don't have to pay Apple a big exorbitant fee to do so. But then how is Apple extracting the revenue from allowing you to use their store? Like, that's the part I'm still confused about. It's like, okay, well, clearly Apple has to make something from you. So how are they able to charge you for putting you in the App Store and facilitating?
They charge every developer $100 a year for their developer account. That goes to staffing the people to review your app through app review and developer support and all that.
Okay, but that
if you're not buying anything through the App Store, then Apple doesn't need to take any of your money.
Sure, but your app is available in the App Store, and that's how most people are making their purchases. And it's letting people know that you have a product that's available for the iPhone or for the iPad or whatever. So if you are able to skirt Apple's system to collect revenue, I mean, the $100 a year is like a pittance. I don't even know what they use that money for, right? But like, Apple clearly has to make revenue in some way for their store. They've built a store.
They make a lot of their revenue also comes from advertising. Like the $100 gets you listed on the App Store, but getting listed on the App Store actually doesn't do a whole lot. Apple makes a lot more money by doing ads on the App Store and having developers pay for extra placement in search results and stuff like that. So there are other ways that Apple Apple will make money. You don't need to worry about that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I want Apple to make money. I don't want it to be exorbitant. I think their 30% fees are too high. I also completely abhor that they charge podcasters too. So like, if you're trying to collect money from your listener base, which for most podcasters, 98.98% of people, they can barely scrape together any money. And for the rest of the people that are making money, like Apple is, poking their index finger into your chest and then tapping it in their palm. And it's like they want to collect 10 to 30% of that revenue. And I'm like, dude, come on. I mean, like, out of all the people you could be extracting profits from, like, podcasters are making nothing. And now you want a huge chunk of it. I don't know. I find it to be distasteful. I think certain things would be better if Apple just made them free. Anyway, this is neither here nor there. We'll see how this affects the App Store. Maybe it will mean that app prices drop, which would be great. Which, I mean,
this means that, like, buying things in Patreon, they can remove that ridiculous Patreon fee that they charge people on Patreon. This will have sweeping effects, like being able to link to a site to sign up and pay instead of going through the App Store. Like that'll I mean, any company, if you suddenly increase their revenue by 30%, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, I was buying YouTube Premium through the App Store, and then I realized that I could pay a lot less if I just went to Google and paid them directly. And I was like, oh shoot, like I can't believe I've been paying this higher price the whole time. I had no idea.
And you know why you didn't know that? Because YouTube wasn't allowed to tell you.
Yeah, it wasn't allowed to tell you. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter because now Google has raised their price so much that I'm almost back to where I started. But, that's a completely separate topic. All right, Louis, do you got to go?
Yeah, I'm working on an image anyway, so
I
should just bail.
All right. Well, I was going to say, you can just hang out and listen. We're going to do the Speakpipe messages next.
What if I start swearing because I can't get Pixelmator to do what I want it to do?
Well, that will just make the segment even better.
I'm right here to provide you live tech support.
Yeah, that's right. If you got to bounce, you can also bounce. Let me see if my Griffin Airphone. Yeah, it's still kind of working. Well, kind of. It'll work even better once you leave, Louis.
All right, I'll see you.
All right, hasta la pasta.
And, yep.
All right, see you later. Let me see if I can fix your... Oh, no, that fixed it. Once he left, everything was better. Go figure.
Wow.
All right.
In a lot of ways.
Let's go ahead and move on to the last segment. This is your listener voicemails. I love these. I hope you all are enjoying these. If not, if you're like, I really hate this segment, let me know. I'd just be curious.
Let's listen to the first one. Hey, Louis, I have a question for you specifically.
Yeah, well, that might be true. I didn't listen to 100% of all of these. If you want to leave us a voicemail, we're trying to play as many of these as we can on the show. Go to speakpipe.com/CultCast, speakpipe.com/CultCast. Super easy to do. You can do it right from your phone on Safari. Record a message and just send it to us. It will probably take you 1 or 2 minutes. Just keep it short. One of the members of one of the govs thought it would be pretty funny to read me a book. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. They're all like a minute and a half each. We're definitely not going to play those. Try to keep it 30 to 60 seconds. Try to keep it upbeat. Like, I mean, if you want to criticize us, that might be fine as long as it's like lighthearted. But I don't know that we want to get into like any serious conversations over here about anything that's going to drag down the whole show. I want to at least keep it, uplifting. And we'll
just do
answer
what
anything
everybody
that
else
you want.
does and leave a 1-star review on iTunes.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You can find us at the Talk Show on iTunes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, criticisms obviously are fine, but like we're trying to keep the show interesting, so try not to keep it too hardcore, unless it's funny in some way. In which case, maybe that would work. But in any case, you could leave us a voicemail about anything you want. I mean, literally any topic you want. I'm curious to see where this goes.
Actually, I'd like to field listener voicemails. If any listeners are watching season 2 of Doctor Who, then you and I can just have a conversation about that Erfan and Lewis will be subjected to listen to.
Yeah, that sounds great. Season 2 from was that 1967 or something?
Well, they reset their numbering system again. So there's season 2 in 1964. There's season 2 in 2006, and now there's the new season 2 that's currently going on.
Oh, okay. So they reset their numbering system for the brand new show. Okay, got it. Okay, I was gonna say who's gonna be rewatching season 2, but okay, it's like 1948. All right, let's start with this one. This one's from Sean. That's all I know. Do I have my Bluetooth set up here so I can stream this? We're trying a new way today. Let's see how this goes. Now it's thinking.
I can't hear that.
No, it's not playing yet.
Oh, okay.
I probably just need to restart it. Hold on a sec. Let's try again.
Hello, CultCast. I am calling to ask your advice on how to start divesting from Apple services.
Okay, I was going to say, that could have gone a bad direction. All right, Apple services. Got it.
Stop sending them my money every month.
Yeah, good luck.
Ever since about Valentine's Day, my map has been broken, and it continues to mislabel a large C that's connected to the United States. So far, Apple has not put any effort, as far as I can tell, into repairing my map. So my commitment is to no longer buy any new Apple products until it's fixed. But then I realized I'm still spending about $40 every month on Apple services. What is the best way to start divesting from these services, and what are some good replacements? Like, how can I find an alternative news app source that's similar? How can I find cloud storage that's similar? What are the best ways to not pay for Apple TV, etc.?
Dude. Well, first of all, I'm not sure I understood the premise of his question. He said his what was broken? His map?
I think he meant to say Mac, and maybe he just misspoke.
Okay. So there's a problem with his Mac. He's mad that Apple's not fixing it, and he wants to divest from Apple products and services until Apple fixes it. Well, first of all, I'll say I commend you for putting your money where your mouth is, and I also wish you the best of luck. This is not an easy thing to do. I have tried this with the Photos app, and after months and months of research trying to get other solutions to work, I realized there's a reason people pay for this, because it's damn good, and there's just nothing else like it. Apple so tightly integrates services with their products that there is nothing that you can use that is even close without being a huge pain.
Yeah, I did some research on this, because with the United Kingdom forcing Apple to remove advanced data protection on iCloud, I actually wrote a pretty long and thoroughly researched list of alternatives, the best alternatives that I could find. There'll be a link to that in the show notes if you're listening to this on the published version of the podcast, Sean. But yeah, I'll try and skim through this. Like, iCloud Photos really is the big one. Like, if you still have a Mac and it's still functional, which it sounds like his is not, so I don't know how much I can help you.
Well, wait
here,
a second. So from the chat, MacBook Foe is saying he said his map is mislabeling a body of water. Is he talking about Gulf of America?
Okay,
he
yeah,
didn't say that though, and I feel like he would have said that if that was his problem. So I don't know. We'd have to go back and listen to it again. But sorry, I don't know that it's actually that important, because I mean his question still stands.
If he just finds like the actions of Tim Cook distasteful, I mean that's another reason to do that. Like, he's irritating a lot of people. But Yeah. If his Mac is still functioning, then you can use iCloud Backup to just make a local copy of your photos to your Mac and just manually sync your phone to it every once in a while, and
But
do a
that's
full export of that to an external hard drive. That wouldn't be too painless. But again, if you want a cloud based system, Proton Mail is pretty nice for replacing email at least. Instead of iCloud Photos, there's a system I came across called Ente, Ente. I haven't personally tried it myself, but they seem to offer a lot of similar features, including end-to-end encryption. Although, again, if you're splitting up iCloud services and buying, equivalent replacement services separately, you're going to spend a lot more money overall because these are separate companies that have to take their profit share rather than just Apple. But I'll put a link to that article in the
Yeah, man.
episode
I mean,
description.
obviously there's Roku if you want to not use or if you don't want to use like an Apple TV hardware, the Apple TV app still lives, right? That you could use other places, although that doesn't really necessarily negate what you're trying to accomplish or accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
But again, some of these services are just so good. I mean, the news thing, I feel like that's pretty easy. I don't personally use Apple News. I find it to be clunky, and I use X for news. Now, some people don't like X. I mean, but you could use there's AI apps you can use, ChatGPT,
You could use
Perplexity.
NetNewsWire. Go old school
Yeah,
fashion. Like
yeah,
subscribe to
for
an
sure.
RSS feed
Yeah,
for your local news, which I highly recommend.
yeah, that's another great doing. I mean, Google has a news thing that you can use. I mean, there's lots of news things, but that's the thing. Like, none of these things are integrated, right? It's like they're all going to be separate apps. They all might cost you more money.
You can
And
almost
the
describe
photos
it
one
as
for
an
sure.
anti-competitive advantage that Apple has, but that's neither here nor there.
I know, especially with photos, man. Like, that is the one that is so ingrained. Like, you really have to pay Apple if you want to have your photos sync across devices, and you want it to do it automatically without you having to have any involvement. You got to just fork it over, man. Sometimes you got to just fork it over. I hate that that's true, but that definitely is true. Okay, let's move on. We got another one. This one comes from Ash. Doesn't say where it's from. Let me go ahead and play it. Let's see what Ash has got to say.
Hey guys, Ash here from the UK. Love the show.
Hello, Gov.
I do miss Lander Caney, have to admit.
I miss him too. And his memorial service was beautiful. Lewis was in tears.
I gave the eulogy. Yeah.
And Griffin gave the eulogy, which I thought was an interesting choice, because you haven't known him that long, but it was beautiful.
But yeah, just wondering, there's a lot of rumours around the iPhone Fold or a future iPhone Fold. I just wanted to hear your guys' kind of take on that and what you think the current state of foldables are. Anyway, good job with the podcast. Love it every week. Highlight. Thanks again.
Cheerio, old bean. You want to go first?
I knew someone who had like a really old Android phone, wanted to get a new one, and they'd placed their order through like AT&T, and AT&T being AT&T didn't give it to him for like months. And eventually they're like, well, we have this Samsung Galaxy Flip in stock. You can just have that instead, and we won't charge you any more for it. So he's like, sure, I'll take it. And he really enjoyed it for about 3 months, and then it broke.
Yeah.
So I
sounds
feel like
about
Apple
right.
has higher standards, especially around like their hardware engineering. So as I've said before, I'm kind of considering the iPhone Fold, honestly. Like, I don't feel like I have room in my life for an iPad, but if my iPhone could just become an iPad anywhere I go, that's kind of engaging.
Yeah.
And even if it's like if it's $2,500, like, yes, that's a irresponsible amount of money to blow on a phone, but it'll only be the second most financially irresponsible decision I've made. So
That's true, and not even the worst one by far.
yeah.
So for you,
Who
this
knows?
is like actually an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the price is the number one thing for me. If it's $2,500, that's going to be a no from me, dog. There's no way I'm spending $2,500 for a phone, plus tax, plus tariffs. It's going to be $5,500 by the time the whole thing is done. I'll say this about the iPhone Fold. I am very interested to see what this phone does. And like so many other devices that are completely irrelevant and complete gimmicks, like 3D televisions, remember those?
Yeah.
What a gimmick. They were just trying to get something to stick to sell more TVs, didn't. I think that's what's going on with folding phones outside of the Apple ecosystem, like all these like Samsung phones and Motorola. I doubt anyone's buying those. I doubt anyone cares. Just a total gimmick to get people to buy stuff. But
I mean,
when
the
Apple
flip
does
is,
it,
the flip is useless. Like, no one wants a rectangular phone to be thicker and square. That does nothing. Like, but a phone that flips out into a tablet, the benefits of that are just immediately obvious.
yeah, as long as they make it thin enough, as long as they make the folding part not have an unsightly, ugly seam, as long as the screen isn't plastic like it is in so many of these phones. So, like, that's kind of my point. Like, when Apple does it, they'll put enough care and design talent into it to polish out all the stuff that people don't like. I always say, no one wants a tablet. People want iPads. Now, I realize that that's not universally true. There are people who buy Amazon tablets and Samsung tablets, I get. But there is no tablet market. There is an iPad market. And people will buy these other cheaper tablets because they don't want to spend the money on an iPad, and then they realize they've made a horrible mistake, 6 months afterwards. I think that's going to kind of be the same thing. There is no foldables market. But Apple will make a market for a foldable iPhone if they do it well, which we, presume that they will, because that's just the way that they work. So I'm excited to see what they do, but, that price is going to be a killer.
It's also worth mentioning, like, just on a more technical note, although Apple has started calling iPadOS and separating it from iOS, they are still literally the same operating system. Like, it is one build that is both iOS and iPadOS. So a foldable iPhone will effectively be an iPad because it'll also be running iPadOS on the inner screen.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, let's move on. We got one from John with no H. Let's see what John has to say.
Hey guys, I made this song for you.
Oh boy, here we go. This better be the PG version, John. I've got your IP address here. Oh man, I actually kind of like that.
I feel like I'm gonna have to turn it up a bit and hear that again.
Yeah,
but,
see, John, what's the deal, man? Like, could you not figure out how to hold the speaker to the microphone? What is going on there? I can barely hear this. Send it to us again, or email it to me, airfun@thecultcast.com, and maybe we'll feature it in a future episode. But that had a absolutely.
I'll see if I can turn that up in the edited version. But yeah, that's a pretty swinging song.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
and I feel like
I
it
was
captured the spirit of
terrified.
Lewis. It's like
I was
got
terrified,
like
but yeah.
this. It's got like a cool '80s vibe, which is when Lewis was in his prime. I think he was like in his like early '60s that year, but that was a very good year for him. So I love it, man. Thank you for that. I'm sure you had AI do that, and you actually put minimal effort into that, but I still appreciate the gesture. All right, let's see here. We got one from the self-proclaimed Apple loyalist out of Spokane. I love that he gave himself a title for the show. Let me go ahead and play this one. We might have room for one or two more. Dude, how come every single one of his messages starts with like 10 seconds of static? That's a whole story that we could do right there.
Hello, this is the Apple Loyalist calling in. You did a great job on this week's show.
Oh, man, thank you.
And I just want to say I love the old Apple startup sound. That is classic. I love it.
I do too.
And I wish Apple would allow us to choose our startup sound when we turn our Mac on. And that would just be really cool to have the Power Mac startup sound as my Mac startup sound when I turn my Mac on.
That's a great feature request, actually. I bet you there's a way to do that. I mean,
think there used
not
to be on
officially,
the
but
Intel Macs.
okay.
At least you used to be able to change the Apple logo that showed up when you booted an old Intel Mac, but security and all that stuff, they've been locking all that down, which is sad.
Yeah, but you know what you should do there, Apple loyalist? You should go and file a feature request with Apple and just see what happens. I mean, they'll probably ignore it and no human will actually ever see it, but it's worth a shot because that's one of those fun little things that maybe they would work in. Okay, let's do one more. This one's a minute long, so let's do this one and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. This is from Paul. All right, Paul, here we go.
Hey, I thought I would call in now that the floodgates are open on
Oh, they are.
roasting Griffin.
Oh boy, here we go. I love it when a message starts off with roasting Griffin.
Kidding.
Oh, man.
So I started listening to the CultCast in March of 2023. I went back and checked on my podcast player. And at that time, you would introduce segments of the show about Vision Pro, and Erfan would always say, like, oh, nobody cares about this, nobody's listening to this, our numbers are dropping off, and things like that. Well,
They were.
I just want to say
Precipitously.
that I am at least one person who not only found the show, but has continued to listen explicitly because of that Vision Pro content. And I have some thoughts on maybe how Vision Pro could be improved, and I might write in or call in about that later. But for right now, I wanted to ask you guys, would it make sense for Apple or anyone else to make a foldable that when you unfold it, two screens come together and each screen has a very thin bezel on one side, and that comes together and makes sort of like a seamless single screen as a result. And so you don't need weird foldy screens, and it avoids a lot of the complexities and trickiness, and it feels like that would work, but I haven't seen a lot of that, and I wonder if that's something that Apple or others could do or should do. All right. Thanks for answering. Bye.
Great question,
That was
Paul.
Microsoft's approach, wasn't it? With the Microsoft Surface Duo, they gave up on having a single continuous screen and just had like two separate screens on that just fold together pretty closely.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever actually released that product. I do know what you're talking about. They also had the Microsoft.
And they released a second version of it.
The Neo, wasn't it?
They never released the Neo, which was their
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
iPad laptop-sized version. But they released the phone version, and they released an updated hardware version of it, and then they killed it. But I got two versions.
I wouldn't mind that at all. In fact, I was just thinking as he was describing that, trying to visualize it, they could call it the like the iPhone Click or something, and it's kind of like the Switch, right? So it's a play on the word Switch. So there's like two screens that you could like open up and then click together with magnets in the middle, and then it becomes like one larger screen, and all like the icons just go boop and just spread across the whole screen, and now you have a screen. Well, you're gonna have to have the crack right in the middle, as most of us do, but I think that would become invisible, and like with the magic they were able to do with like the dynamic island, they could probably use that area in some kind of like cool visual way. And I think that's an interesting idea. And if it made it flatter, I mean, a big problem seems to be like the hinge, because you can't fold the screen very well without there being some kind of like gap, because you can't make it completely flat. So it introduces thickness. Well, if you had a screen that could disconnect from one side, and then you could change the orientation and close it or open it or have it be like a wide screen. I like it. I think you should. You know what I think you should do? You should go to Apple's feedback site and leave a piece of feedback. And you can change your display name to Johnny Ive. And just see if anyone goes and pays attention to it. Any final thoughts there, Griffin?
I feel like that's kind of like the intermediary product that Apple would rather just wait out and skip over. Like, Apple is the idealized company that just wants to make the perfect thing from the start. And so they're just going to wait until it's technologically possible for them to make a folding iPhone that's just a single continuous screen. But yeah, I feel like that approach could have been better for other companies to do earlier and maybe skip over all of the like negative headlines. Like if Samsung had made a foldable phone like that from the beginning, they probably would have been more receptive and sold more of them.
You know, I just had a genius idea. Now that we have like these flexible OLED displays, the iPhone scroll. It's literally like a scroll, and you just go, you open it up this way like a king about to read his proclamation. Hear ye, I'm going to be reading Reddit for the next 20 minutes. Think how cool that could be. And because it scrolls down, you just have a single tube to store, which you could keep like in your pant leg or maybe attached to your chest or something. And then you could open it up, and they have different sizes. The iPhone Scroll Plus, right? 16 inches to 20 inches.
I've got an even better idea.
Oh boy!
You remember those slap bracelets in the 90s that every kid a big scar on the wrist?
For sure.
An Apple Watch slap bracelet. They don't need to make two separate sizes of Apple Watch anymore. They just have one, and you just like slap it on, and then it just wraps around, and you've got a bigger screen that goes all the way around your wrist.
Oh man, the Apple Watch slap.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the
slap edition.
Slap edition. I'm waiting for the marketing department to contact us for our job offers. Okay, look, we got more of these, but we got to wrap up here. If you want to leave us a message, speakpipe.com/CultCast, speakpipe.com/CultCast. But that's it. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. The fun continues in the very exclusive Cult Club. Of course, if you want to fork it over. It's only $5 a month. Helps the show. Helps us keep things rolling, which we appreciate. You also get access to the Cult Club. Support.thecultcast.com. Support.thecultcast.com. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you can hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, for hanging out live, and we will see you guys next time. All right. Oh, the Slapple? I like your first one better, I'll be honest. I think the second one has a nice ring to it, but there's also something about it I just don't like. The Slapple? Okay, well, that's true. All right, all. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm hurtling towards the end stream button as we speak because I'm going to be walking these sweet yet muscular buns out the door in 3 minutes. Poor Lewis is probably bored to death in that Apple earnings call, so at least we're not all having to endure that. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye, y'all.